Mic testing 1 2 1 2. Welcome back to Mac Talks of Football, and in this video we are gonna have a look back at the predictions that I made at the start of the season for Bundesliga 25-26. I already did the reaction video for my prediction for Liga, and that did not go according to a plan. So we are gonna hope that my predictions are a bit better, in Bundesliga as compared to the ones in League Two. We are gonna go with a points based system. If I get my prediction exactly spot on, I don't get any points. But if they are like two places away from the places I predicted, we are going to accumulate 2 points. So the goal is to collect as less points as possible. If I'm being very honest with you, if I'm between 35 to 45 points. I would be really happy. I think that is a really good prediction. 45 to 55, it's still respectable, but anything over 55, I think that is going to be disastrous. We ended up with 62 points in a Liga, so it was quite a horrible, a set of predictions for me. But to be very honest with you, Nice really destroyed me in those predictions because nobody thought that Nice were going to end up having such a terrible season. So let's hope, that it's much better in a Bundesliga. So without further ado, let's get started. On 18, I went with Heidenheim, and at 17, I went with a Saint Pauli. They both of them finished at the spot positions, and if I'm being very honest with you, I'm really angry about this one because up until match day 31, Heidenheim were 18 and St. Pauli was 17. So I sort of was getting both of them on the perfect spot, and in the last two match days they swap position, and they've sort of messed me up, screwed me over in the last 2 3 match days, and they've swapped places. Heidenheim's business was not there at the start of the season. They already struggled last season, and I expected them to struggle this season as well, and St. Pauli as well. The business that they had done, there was barely any business, and the one that they had done was not really up to the level that I thought they would be able to compete, and that's what has happened. And unfortunately for both of them, they have ended up getting relegated. I get 2 points here. I am quite happy with the start. 16th position, I mean, this is, I cannot believe I went with Hoffenheim. They ended up finishing fifth, and I mean, I cannot believe this has happened. If I'm being very honest with you, I thought Hoffenheim were really going to struggle, and they have really shocked everybody this season. It has been an amazing season for Hoffenheim. But let's be very honest here. Nobody really thought Hoffenheim were going to have such a great season, and they were going to end up somehow qualifying for the Europa League football. They barely missed out on Champions League football. So for Hoffenheim, it was an amazing season. And they really did not bought well in the summer. If I'm being very honest with you, the signings were not really what's the word I want to use, did not really give you that much confidence, but they have surprised a lot of people. I think the manager should be given a lot of credit, and the players that they brought in, and already the team that was there as well. I think that really the players have stepped up, and they've had an amazing season. As I said, finishing 50th, it has been an amazing season for them. But they've screwed me over with this directly. I get 11-point penalty because of Hoffenheim. So yeah, that's really not good. 15th, I went with FC Köln. They ended up finishing 14th. So yeah, yet another one that barely I'm missing by one place. I think FC Köln, I thought they had experienced players already in their squad. They did not really have that many departures from the team that came up from Bundesliga League Two, and the players that they had bought as well. I just felt they had a good enough a mixture of experienced players and the new players coming in as well. I thought they were going to be in that relegation scrap, but I felt they just had enough to get away, to be safe from the other 3 teams that I had predicted to go down, and that's what happened as well. 14th, I went with Hamburg, another promoted team. They ended up finishing 13th, and just like Köln, I thought their team was already good enough, and the business that they had done after coming up, I thought they had a good enough score. I think the big problem for Heidenheim and Saint Pauli was they really did not abide that much, and the players that they had bought were not really good enough as compared to the teams around them. I think that's why the promoted teams, everybody thought they were gonna stay up, and that's what has happened as well. At 13th, I went with Union Berlin. They ended up finishing at 11th. And now, to be very honest with you, I thought Union Berlin were going to struggle, and they struggled. They really did not have a good season. Their manager ended up getting sacked as well, and they were on a losing spree. They ended up winning their last 2 games, and that has really pulled them up towards 11. Otherwise, they could have even finished further below than 13. But overall, I expected a mid-table finish from Union Berlin, and they've ended up finishing a mid-table. It's nothing like really exciting. I thought it was going to be a boring season for them, and that's what has happened for them. Nothing to really rave about. At 12th, I went with Augsburg. They ended up finishing ninth, 3 places above where I thought. And just like Union Berlin, again, one of those teams that you knew were going to be in that mid-table area. Their business was not that good, but I think Augsburg in a way were was were lucky, or that the teams around them, some of the teams around them performed really poor, and that's really helped them finishing in the top 10. I think they had a good enough season. They would be really happy with it. They were never really in that relegation scrap, but they were never really in contention for Europe as well. They had a respectable mid-table finish, a top 10 finish, and I think Augsburg are going to be really happy with it. I'm really happy with it. I mean, to be very honest with you, predicting these mid-table teams is really hard, because you don't know, one of them can have a really spectacular season and can mess everything up, and one of them could have a really horrible season and can mess things up, and that's what really happened in Bundesliga this season. At 11th, I went with Wolfsburg, of course, and that's what I'm saying. One thing, a team can have a horrible season and mess everything can up. They ended up finishing at 16th. That's a 5 point penalty for me, and they finished at 16. I think they had a horrendous season. They had a horrible season. I'm really shocked by it as well. I think they had a good enough summer. They did a good business as well. And of course, you look at their score as compared to the teams around them, you would have never really thought that they were going to struggle this much. And not only did they struggle in Bundesliga, they lost that relegation promotion playoff game as well. They're going to be in Bundesliga too. Nobody would have predicted that. Let's be very honest here. With the score that they had and the manager they had and the way that they played last season, you would not have thought that Wolfsburg are going to end up getting relegated from Bundesliga. But it is what it is, and it's an unfortunate thing. A club like Wolfsburg, a former Bundesliga champion, and inconsistent part of the league, have ended up being relegated. It's not a good thing, but it is a football. I get a 5 points penalty, so nothing good has come out of it. Number 10, I went with Mainz. They ended up finishing at 10th as well. So that's the first one. I have gotten it on the spot. Mainz are one of those teams that you just know they are going to be, in that mid-table area. It doesn't matter. They can go. It can be in the top 10 or in the bottom half, but they are going to be somewhere there. I think they had a good enough, respectable season. I said they are going to finish top 10. They finish top 10. Mainz are. They always do this. They have that kind of a business that they are not really going to be in that much trouble, but they are not going to really punch above their weight, and they are not going to really fight for Europe. And that's what has happened. 10th place finish, respectable finish, good enough season, and 0 points for me. Another one, my second watch prediction till now. At 9th, I went with Werder Bremen. They ended up finishing 15th. Again, shocking, just like Wolfsburg. I mean, these two teams have really shocked me. 5 points because from Wolfsburg, and now 6 points from Bremen. Again, I'm really surprised with the way that Bremen season has panned out. If I'm being very honest with you, the summer that they had, the players that they already had, I really thought they were going to have a push for Europe. I still remember I said that I would not be surprised if they ended up qualifying for Europe, because I thought they had a good enough squad, and that's why I put them. And ninth, I said they are going to barely miss out on those European places, but they have proven me completely wrong, and they ended up having a horrendous season. They were lucky that teams below them, teams like Wolfsburg and Saint Pauli and all of them, were really upward, and that really helped them. Otherwise, they could have been another catastrophe like Wolfsburg, and they could have really had end up going down. But they are safe, and they are lucky to be safe, if I'm being very honest with you. At 8, I went with Borussia Mönchengladbach. They ended up finishing at 12th as well. Another one of those teams. I think these three teams have really shocked me with the way that they have played, especially with the squad that they have and the experience that they have in their squad as well. You would not have thought that they are going to have this much trouble. Mönchengladbach, especially, again, one of those teams that had a really good score, and if you look at the previous year, they've slowly starting to get better and better. And I thought this could be another, just like Bremen. I thought they might push for those European places. They might really go ahead and challenge the teams above them. But again, it's like 2 steps behind and 1 step forward and 2 steps backwards, like situation with Mönchengladbach. Injuries have hampered their season as well, but to be very honest, I'm really disappointed with them. I really thought they could have had a real go at those European places, but they ended up finishing 12th. And it is a poor campaign, if I'm being very honest with you. Even though they finished, they were never really in trouble of getting relegated, and they finished mid-table. It's a respectable finish, but with the squad and the expectations of the fans, I think it's a poor season on their part. 7, I went with Leipzig. They ended up finishing a third. So they ended up qualifying for the Champions League. They did a lot better than I thought they would. And I think again now from seventh up until second, it was really hard to predict. I think if I'm being very honest with you, Leipzig, nobody really thought they were going to be that much of a problem this season, and they have really shocked everybody with the way that they have played and the way that they have played against the big teams. If I'm being very honest with you, a season before last, the big problem for Leipzig was they barely won their big games, but this season they have been able to do that, and they performed really good. They have not spent that much money, but the players that they brought in, they have really stepped up, and it has been a good season for them. They end up qualifying for the Champions League, and it was still not decided up until the last day of the season. So they really had to push for it and go deep until until the last game of the season to make sure that they ended up finishing in those Champions League places and play Champions League football. That's a great season for them. A 4 point penalty for me, on the other hand, though. Seven at number 6. I went with Freiburg. They ended up finishing a 7. I like Freiburg as a club. I like the score. I like the way they play as well. I thought this might be they might end up qualifying for Europa League, and they push for as well. They were in the mix, as I said, from 7 to 2. These places could be interchangeable, and that's what happened. I predicted them to finish 6, they ended up finishing 7. I think they're going to be really disappointed because at times there was a time where it felt like Freiburg might even qualify for the Champions League, but they dropped off right, and unfortunately they are in the Conference League. They are going to be in Europe as well. It's still a good enough season. It's a respectable finish. They are going to play Europe yet again. So I think that's a real positive for them. But I get just 1 point. I got them a one place off. At 5th, I went with Stuttgart. They ended up finishing 4th. Yet another 1 point, 1 pointer coming into my tally. Again, Stuttgart have I said last season as well, and I just said at the start of the season as well that it is going to be a good season for Stuttgart. Their recruitment has been very good. The way they play, the manager, it is looking really good. And next season, if things keep on going like the way they have gone, I think Stuttgart are going to have yet another great season. This summer is going to be important for them. They need to keep adding to that score if they really want to surprise everybody and have a go at Bayern Munich. But this season again, I think they were really good. And as I said, they qualified for the Champions League as well. A great season for them and a great performance from the entirety of that team. At 4, I went with Leverkusen. They ended up finishing 6th, 2 points below than what I had them on. And if I'm being very honest with you, when I made the prediction, Eric Ten Hag was the manager. And if I'm going to say it, and I said at the time as well, Leverkusen were really, really, rough with Ten Hag. If I'm being very honest with you, they really did not give him time. His time at Manchester United has not really helped him, and they sacked him at barely after like 3 games, if I'm not wrong. And I think I went with that mindset, and it took them a lot of time. They had lost players, important players. They had a new manager in. I still rate Ten Hag, if I'm being very honest with you. And I thought he was going to be the perfect guy for to take them forward, but they sacked him quite quickly, and it took them time to come back into their group. But they still had a chance. They still had a good enough chance to qualify for the Champions League. But again, they trailed off at the end of the season, and they ended up finishing 6th, and they missed out on Champions League football. They are going to be in Europa League, and I think they are going to be really disappointed about it. At number 3, I went with Borussia Dortmund. They ended up finishing as 2nd. 1 point off, nothing spectacular from a Dortmund, if I'm being very honest with you. A good enough season. They played good football, but there was nothing, to say wow or horror. There was nothing spectacular in that season. You expect Dortmund to finish in top 4, if I'm being very honest with you, and they did that as well. Number 2, I went with Frankfurt, and unfortunately, they ended up finishing 8th. Out of all the prediction, this one is the one that I can take the blame, to be very honest with you, because I thought Frankfurt were going to have a really good season. I thought the players that they had brought in were really good, and I felt that they might give a Bayern Munich a real go. I really did not think that they were going to challenge for the title. I just felt out of the other teams, as I said, from 2nd to 7th, I just felt they had a better squad, and the momentum wise, I thought Frankfurt's momentum was better as compared to the other teams. Unfortunately, it has not worked for them, and they have completely gone out of Europe as well. It has been a poor season for Frankfurt, and I think let's hope they have a better season next year, because this was a total bust. And again, this is like my second worst prediction, along with Bremen getting me 6 points. And of course, at number 1, I went with Bayern Munich. At the start of the season as well, I said it, and I'm going to say it again. there was nobody that was going to challenge Bayern Munich. And I think this is the first time in the last 3 years where I have felt that. We had Leverkusen winning the title 2 years ago. Last year, I still felt there was a chance that Leverkusen and Dortmund they might come in and have a go at Bayern Munich, which they did. It was a close race. Bayern Munich ended up winning it, but it was a good title race. This time around, I just did not feel that the other teams had a good enough squads to have a go at Bayern Munich, and that's what has happened. It has been quite a one-sided season. No disrespect to anybody, but it was not as entertaining as previous years. The race for the title was quite one-sided. It was entertaining for the European places and for the relegation fight and whatnot, but for the title, if I'm being very honest, it was quite boring and it was quite predictable at the start of the season. The teams really did not bring in players that you felt they might be able to have a chance and have a go at Bayern Munich. It was really not that. The scores were not really up to par. So yeah, Bayern Munich are finishing first and becoming the champions yet again. And if my calculations are correct, I think I have accumulated 50 points. And the fact of the matter is, out of those 50 points, 4 teams have brought in me 28 points, and the rest of the 32 points have been brought by the other 14 teams. I think Hoffenheim have really screwed me over here. Otherwise, it would have been a great, set of prediction. I'm really happy with it. If I'm being very honest with you, getting as I said, 45 to 55 is still respectable, and 1 or 2 teams really screw you over. And for me, that was like Hoffenheim with 11 points, and I think Bremen and Frankfurt, both of them getting 6 points, and Wolfsburg got me 5 points. But apart from that, if I'm being very honest, I'm quite happy. I almost scored almost a 1 point or 2 point that is expected. So yeah, overall, I'm quite happy with my predictions. In Bundesliga, it's way better than Liga. So yeah, that's for me in this video. Let me know what you guys thought of my predictions. Let me know how many of your predictions came to in the comment section below as well. Like the video, share it as well. Click on the notification bell and of course subscribe to the channel. We are going to do for the rest of the leagues as well, so please go ahead and subscribe and help the channel out. Until next time, bye bye.